Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm KandyCorpse, but you can call me Kay, and I'm going to be doing some more true scary stories of people's personal paranormal experiences that I found on Reddit. I have some stories. All I read was the title of these. I haven't actually read them myself, so my reaction is going to be my genuine reaction to these while I'm reading them to you. These are the top ones from this month in the subreddit. I think it's just r/paranormal, which is the one I typically go to when it comes to like the true ones, because a lot of the ones that people are kind of doing the storytelling or really embellishing details tend to get deleted or removed very quickly. Really, the whole point is to just post stuff here that you have no idea what's going on, and hopefully either find an answer or have multiple people confirm that they also cannot find an answer besides paranormal. So the first one that I'm going to read today is by Chef Jeff 198633. This says, visited by a dead relative and told I died during chemo. That's actually crazy, but I've heard of stuff like this happening to people going through chemo or other treatments when they're terminally ill. But like, cancer doesn't necessarily mean terminal. It's making me think it is because of this though. But let's read it. Back in March, I found out I have cancer, and in June, I had part of my kidney removed. Last night, I dreamed I had to go to the hospital because they found more tumors, and while I was there, my wife's recently deceased grandmother came into my room to talk to me. She was smiling and very pleasant to be around, but told me I'm supposed to be with them and that I was going to have to start chemo and that it wasn't going to work, but I had to do it. The very next thing, an angel showed up next to her and said they needed me to come with them, but I had to do chemo first. They said it's not going to hurt and it will be like I fell asleep in bed next to my wife. They told me everything will be okay and I just need to let things play out as they happen. I woke up and have never had such a vivid dream before. I'm also not a religious person, so for an angel to show up really throws me through a loop. I want to tell my wife about it, but I also don't want her to get any more freaked out about the cancer thing. So cancer is a very touchy subject. It's very hard for a lot of people to deal with mentally, physically, emotionally. It's just a lot to go through. I'll read a couple of the top comments to see what some of the previous readers have to say. When I had Hep C, my odds were a 30% survival rate. My former husband died of the disease. I did a lot of praying and studied what people who had gone through treatment said. One day I heard a voice in my head say, they've decided to let you live. All my tests after that were good. Nothing is set in stone. They may change their minds. Prepare for the worst, but hope for the best. And then someone else said, are you able to physically describe this, angel? And I'm praying for your healing. Whenever and however hydrogen and oxygen combine like that, water emerges. You will emerge again. Rest well till then. The universe loves us all, and death is no antagonist. Besides, everything we know about death is from living motherfuckers. I trust your dead relative more. So it's interesting. There's a couple different takes, it seems, in the comments, and the further down you go, like one of the next ones, it's likely a manifestation of your inner turmoil and fears, which is kind of what I am going with in terms of my interpretation, but it could be a spiritual one as well. Who knows whether you're more of a spiritual person or more on the like, that's all kind of whatever, that's just spacey psychology, which I feel like I believe in a good mixture of both. You know what I mean? That's kind of where I'm more leaning towards, because I know that this is a common thing, but maybe the reason why it's kind of common is because maybe there are people who are really reaching out. Who knows? The next one I'm reading is by Chambers County 12 tag, and it says, I had a terrifying experience today in Goodwill, of all places. Please help. Please, no jokes. I am frightened, and I am not a person who scares easily. I live alone and solo backpack deep in the woods for fun. I sleep like a baby, or at least I used to. Today I had one of the best days of my life. Things have really turned around for me, and I was in a great mood. I love thrift shopping, so I decided to stop at Goodwill. While I was in the housewares aisle, I had a feeling that someone was watching me. turned around and there was only one other person in the aisle at this very crowded Goodwill. She appeared to be between 18 and 25. She was very pale with dark hair and dressed in all black. She didn't have anything in her hands. She was not holding a purse, and she wasn't looking at anything except me. Her eyes were incredibly dark. I was immediately uncomfortable. My first thought was, what is she doing here? She doesn't belong here. Then every cell of my body propelled me away from her at lightning speed. This was when the thing that really bothers me happened. I walked away from her with my cart, and then I turned my head and she was beside me, just across the aisle. It was like she had teleported. It scared the shit out of me. I decided to leave. As I was going to leave the store, my niece and her family happened to walk in. I swear we don't have family reunions at Goodwill. This was a day of just strange coincidences. I spoke to them briefly and then I left. The woman scared me, so I decided I just wasn't going to think about it anymore. I went about the rest of my day like normal until about an hour ago when my cell phone rang. It was my niece's husband, but the call would not connect. That's not super unusual because I live in the woods, so I tried to call him on my home phone. That wouldn't connect either, and that is unusual. That's when I received a text from him that said, "Hey, really odd I know, but do you remember a young woman dressed in black/emo style at the Goodwill today, maybe 18 to 25? I had chills all over as soon as I read that, and I was instantly, viscerally terrified. I knew that he had seen her too. I tried to call again, and this time the call went through. He had the exact same experience I had. The soulless, yet soul-staring look, the teleporting, the dread and desire to get away from her. He is a fully grown adult man with a full-time job and a family, and he typically would not be afraid of a random woman at Goodwill. I feel like it's important to mention here that my niece never saw her and thought her husband was crazy until I confirmed the story. I don't know what I saw. I don't know why my niece's husband saw it too, but she didn't. I don't know why it frightened us both so badly. I shut all my curtains and blinds, I locked all my doors, I lit some candles and asked for protection. I've been shaking. I am 50 years old and I am scared. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Take your time, I'll be up all night." And we have an update. Update, I was not up all night. I lit white candles, salted my windowsill. Wow. My windowsill, and said a prayer and went to sleep. I still have no idea what actually happened yesterday, but I'm going to go back to not thinking about it. It didn't come home with me, and that's enough for me. I also remembered another strange experience I had several years ago. It was at an antique store when I turned the corner and I saw a man that I instinctually felt was a ghost. I walked straight to the cash register at the front of the store and I asked the man if they had a ghost in the store. I thought he was going to laugh at me, but instead he yelled to the woman in the back, "Marie, that ghost is out here bothering people again." Some people believe that others can be more spiritually inclined than others, so maybe going into things like a thrift store and a Goodwill, an antique store, maybe if there's anything lingering, they can tell that you might be able to see them more than others, or maybe just because you're having that reaction that other people don't have, so they're like noticing, and it's kind of like, oh my god, someone can see me. But it is weird that multiple people had that experience with that same one, and it could have just been like a creepy person, but for some people to not see it and some people to see it is very strange. So a couple top comments before I move on to our last story. I feel like I've learned over the years that when someone or something is lingering, a soul, for lack of a better term, they will pick someone that is open to seeing them, or someone that may have something that makes them see them more relatable to her. You and your niece's husband may have been more open-minded, or you have a characteristic that poor gal felt drawn to. Something is probably in the store that belonged to her, and she's trying for attention that she may not have gotten while she was walking with the living. Okay, I'll finish reading my comment. My roommate is going to be sitting in with me for the next couple comments and the last story, so I'll finish this one that I was reading. I'm gonna be honest, my husband and I have bought so much secondhand stuff at thrift stores that for a while I felt sure we brought someone home with us. I firmly believe that poor girl was a little troubled when she was alive by the way you described her, and now she's lurking wondering why no one is acknowledging her. And the next top comment says, "In my experience, you saw what I would call a demon." Y'all know how I feel about that term. People fucking using it when they shouldn't. but may be referred to as other things as well. Yeah. Depending on who you talk to, an entity that may have been human at one point, but also may have never been human. Why do people assume that it's not human just because it has like a darker kind of vibe or feel? That doesn't make any fucking sense. But like it said, there's people who really don't have a lot of knowledge on the topic, so they just think anything that isn't like an angel is a demon. Y'all know how I feel about that. If you're feeling balanced and truly good, it's possible this entity is attached to the space or the vicinity of the area you were in, and you saw it because it knew you could see it. These entities try to prey on your fear, so be bold and intentional when you pray for protection. Sage if you can. Do not. That's a closed practice. So don't listen to anything this comment is saying. Hope this helps. And yeah, the next one is burn sage and salt your doors and windows. They did salt the doors and windows, but you shouldn't burn sage. Not white sage anyway. I mean, there's other kinds of sage, but white sage specifically is a closed indigenous American practice, like American indigenous practice that like certain groups of people would use. I don't know if that was actually genuinely across the board, but don't do that. Don't do that, because if you don't know what you're doing, don't do that. Very bad. So, on to the last story. This one's another short one like the first one, which is fine. It's titled Son Saw a Mimic, and the username is Eclipsed Griffey, and it's tagged as a haunting. So, my 6-year-old son saw a mimic yesterday. Me and my wife were downstairs entertaining our other kids when my eldest son came quite quickly down the stairs and was rather freaked out. With a little prying, he tells us he just saw me upstairs in our room, which is opposite his, slowly backing away into the darkness with white glowing eyes, smiling. What freaks me out is I do stuff like this with him. I'll do that to make him jump, and then he runs into my room to, quote, attack me. But the fact this thing must have known doing this would normally draw him into the room. Luckily, my boy has good sense and instantly realized it was not me. It's time to do a house cleansing, I think. Edit, I just realized the camera I have in my room fell a few minutes before this happened. So that's interesting. They actually had a security camera that could have caught it, but it didn't. And I've heard of stuff like this happening before, where security cameras will glitch, or they'll stop recording, or they'll break, or like in this case, it fell down and happened to not catch on camera what it normally would have. So let's go to some of the top comments. This one is, I woke up in the middle of the night once to see what looked like myself stood next to my partner over his side of the bed. It was me, my makeup, my hair, and was wearing a kimono type thing, which at the time I used to wear a few of, but I didn't have one in black and orange silk pattern that this one was wearing. When she/it noticed I was staring at she/it, scurried right out of our bedroom door and vanished. I always told myself I dreamt it, but reading all these, I'm wondering now whether or not I actually did. Another comment says, what happens if you follow them or let them in? I'm scared to ask, thanks. There's a lot of replies to that, but I'm not going to read them because I can make a whole separate video topic on mimics, and I'm definitely not a professional when it comes to that. I do have some knowledge on it, but I'd rather do more research, and if that's something that people want, I certainly can do that and make a separate video talking about research and people's experiences with mimics. And another top comment said, I had episodes of sleep paralysis for years, and looking back on one particular experience, I wonder if it was a mimic. Spooky. This one says, what is with mimics doing creepy ass shit while smiling all of a sudden? The white glowing eyes is definitely new though. Have only heard recent mimic stories where they take the form of a loved one and do something that person would usually do, just in an eerie, creepy way while smiling. So those were the stories that I read for today. Let me know what you guys think down below. And if you want more mimic content, I can definitely do that for you. I know everybody really liked the cryptid stuff that I did. I've done a couple videos. I did one where it was just the cryptid stories specifically like these, but it was focused on cryptids. And then I've also done like a research type one that people really liked, and I do plan on doing more. I just have to put the time and energy into doing more research, especially on ones that are lesser known. I don't want to do only the popular ones or only the popular ones first. I want to kind of mix them in so it's a little bit of like, you know, some of the information you might know, but some of it is new and interesting. But yeah, so I'm going to try to start posting more and hopefully get more true crime content on my page as well as more paranormal content. So let me know what you think. And if you liked what you saw, please like and subscribe and check out my other playlists where I have more videos like this and some other different kinds of content if that's what you're into. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.